Welcome to the Food Safety and Nutrition Operations for COVID-19, updates for Maryland's nonprofit private schools and residential child care institutions which participate in federally funded school meal programs. We encourage you to incorporate this video and information into trainings you conduct with your agency staff and to share it with any contracted food service vendors who provide meals for child nutrition programs at your agency. The information in this video is current as of August 24th, 2020. Topics addressed in this training include resources from the state of Maryland for school nutrition programs during recovery and reopening for school year 2020-2021, school nutrition program operations resources for COVID-19 from the School Nutrition Association and from the Institute for Child Nutrition, and general food safety reminders and information for school food programs. USDA professional standards training topics include Administration for Program Management, Topic 3200, and Operations for HACCP and Food Safety, Topic 2600. This training video is approximately 25 minutes long and counts for 30 minutes or 0.5 hours of professional standards training for school nutrition professionals. Let's get started. In May, the Maryland State Department of Education released Maryland Together, Maryland's Recovery Plan for Education, which was most recently updated in June of 2020. The current version of this resource can be accessed on the MSDE website, marylandpublicschools.org. The document includes guidance and resources for school nutrition programs in the Stage 2 requirements for reopening schools and in the section for school and community nutrition programs. You may already be familiar with this resource. We'd like to highlight two appendices that are included at the end of the document with information that may be useful to you and your school nutrition staff as you begin the school year and navigate the challenges of operating school food service during a pandemic. Appendix B outlines the key stakeholder roles and strategies for school and nutrition services at the local school system, and Appendix C includes an annotated list of resources for topics ranging from USDA waivers issued during COVID-19 to guidance on enhanced cleaning and disinfecting of spaces used by students and staff in your school food program. For up-to-date information from the state of Maryland during this school year, be sure to reference these official websites for Maryland agencies. The Maryland State Department of Education website, marylandpublicschools.org, has a COVID-19 resource page for schools in Maryland with links to official press releases and messages from the State Superintendent of Schools, as well as guidance, resources, and updates for Maryland schools and communities. Specific information related to school nutrition programs can be found on the website for the MSDE Office of School and Community Nutrition Programs, eatsmartmaryland.org. On this website, you'll find a summary of the federal and state waivers related to school and community nutrition programs during COVID-19, including waivers requested by MSDE for school year 2020-2021, and additional resources and program-specific information. The Maryland Department of Health website, health.maryland.gov, is your portal to official public health and safety information for the entire state of Maryland. We'd like to highlight three key resources for Maryland school nutrition operations related to food safety and COVID-19 guidance, which have been released by the Maryland Department of Health and the Maryland State Department of Education. First, COVID-19 Food Safety Frequently Asked Questions was issued by the Maryland Department of Health and most recently updated on July 7, 2020. It includes information about food supply and food safety, enhanced cleaning and safety, guidance related to employee illness, and links to additional resources approved by the Maryland Department of Health. Next, Guidance for use of cloth face coverings in schools was released by the Maryland Department of Health in partnership with the Maryland State Department of Education on August 4th, 2020. It outlines the MDH and MSDE requirements for use of cloth face coverings by students and school staff, and it provides recommendations for communicating the requirements not only to families and students, but also to your staff. Be sure to provide your staff with information and expectations about proper use, removal, and washing of cloth face coverings. Finally, response to a laboratory-confirmed case of COVID-19 and persons with COVID-19-like illness in schools is guidance released by Maryland Department of Health in conjunction with MSDE. Most recently updated on July 23, 2020, it provides information regarding the protocols and practices for local school systems to implement in collaboration with their local jurisdiction health department when a member of a school community receives a positive lab test for COVID-19. You'll find a helpful decision tree flowchart with guidance to navigate the exclusion and return of staff who test positive for COVID-19 during the school year. After this training video, please review these resources, which can be shared with your staff during back-to-school training. The official web portal for Maryland resources and guidance related to COVID-19 is coronavirus.maryland.gov. Updated information for the state is posted on this site. Scroll to the bottom of that web page to find a tab linking to specific resources for Maryland schools and childcare, including signage for social distancing, use of cloth face coverings, and enhanced hand washing protocols, all of which can be downloaded and printed for use by your agency at no cost. The Maryland Department of Health endorses the CDC recommendation that any employee with symptoms of COVID-19, such as sore throat, cough, fever, congestion, runny nose, or difficulty breathing, be excused from work to prevent possible spread of the virus. Although some COVID-19 symptoms are similar to typical cold and flu symptoms, the only way to be sure it's not coronavirus is by a laboratory test. Be sure your staff know to stay home if they are sick or symptomatic. In addition to federal and state guidelines, the local health department for your jurisdiction may have additional requirements. If your school food program operates sites in more than one county, be sure to check with the local health department for each site to verify your program is in compliance with local guidelines, which may be more narrow than state or federal requirements. In Maryland, each local school system was required to submit a reopening plan to MSDE by August 14th for review and approval, and to post the approved plan on the school website. Be sure to review your agency's procedures for communication related to site closures due to a positive COVID-19 test result of a student or a staff member. Anticipate and plan for staff absences during the school year, which may be due to illness or a need to isolate if a staff member is informed that they've been exposed to someone who has recently received a positive laboratory test result. Although you can't plan for every scenario, you should develop a contingency plan to ensure children from your program continue to have access to nutritious food in case your site has an unscheduled closure. And be sure to have and to use your plan to communicate with key stakeholders about any changes to student meal service, such as service times and locations. As a reminder, changes in meal times or service days should also be reflected on the site application in MARS, as well as notifying local health department authorities. In addition to Maryland State resources and guidance, there are tools for child nutrition professionals to help navigate school food service in COVID times. The School Nutrition Association is a national nonprofit professional organization which has several back-to-school resources for school nutrition operations. Access to selected free resources is available on their webpage for back to school. One resource we'd like to highlight is the COVID-19 Thought Starters on Reopening Schools. This 25-page document is arranged by topic and includes questions, ideas, and scenarios to help you think through the multi-layered operational challenges presented by school food service this coming year. For example, social distancing and using cloth face coverings are new protocols for health and safety during food service operations this year. How might this be implemented without compromising food safety in your school nutrition program? Consider scenarios such as receiving deliveries from your vendors, adjusting workstations in food preparation areas to accommodate social distancing. If students will be eating meals in classrooms or residential cottages, how will meals be transported and distributed? Is there a plan for supervising students during lunch in the classroom or cottage? What will distribution of meal pickup for virtual learners look like? Let's look at some examples from right here in Maryland. These photos from St. Mary's County Public Schools show how they adjusted their workspace to utilize the cafeteria tables to facilitate physical distance between staff who packed to-go meals for their distance learners in spring of 2020. They built in physical distance during meal pickup by spacing out point of service and food pickup stations. They also boosted communication of the new protocols for increased social distancing and use of cloth face masks by posting photos and messages to their social media channels. In Charles County Public Schools, physical distance and no contact pickup was implemented by using folded tables with drive-through pickup service. Bagged meals were placed on the table by school nutrition staff, and parents could drive up and reach out of their car window to pick up the bagged meals for no contact pickup from the folding table. In Baltimore County Public Schools, staff practiced physical distance and use of cloth face coverings in the kitchen, even when students were not present in the school buildings. No-touch handoff of prepared food items is shown here, where the prep table facilitates physical distance between staff members working in the kitchen. Alternate space for food preparation and meal assembly can also be considered. This photo from Kent County shows nutrition staff who've set up an assembly line on their cafeteria service line. This is one model that may work for schools packing meals for classroom or cottage delivery or to-go meals for distance learners. SNA also has a brand new dining guide for meals in the classroom. This collection of customizable resources can help school nutrition leadership communicate plans and procedures for eating in the classroom or in residential cottages with all stakeholders, including students and families, school administrators, educators, and other school staff. If school meals in the classroom or in cottage settings will be new to your program this year, this guide may be particularly useful to work out the details of what this model of food service will look like for your program. Let's look at an example of how meals are packed for dining in the classroom in one Maryland school program. Here's an example from Anne Arundel County Public Schools, showing how meals are packaged for transport and delivery to classrooms. The stacked bins on the cart on the right are packed with shelf-stable food for delivery to the classroom, with a roster for recording point of service when the food is served. The brown coolers stacked on the cart in the middle of the photo are for milk and other food items to maintain cold holding between the school kitchen and the classroom. Carts like the one seen here may already be in your kitchen, pantry, or walk-in. They can be used to deliver meals to the classroom and to collect the bins and coolers from the classroom when meal service is complete. If your school nutrition program is implementing a dining in the classroom model for this year, or shifting residential service of school meals to more in-cottage dining, utilize the resource from School Nutrition Association to help you and your team address operations at your school site. Another source of information and training material, which can be used with your school nutrition staff for the coming year, is the Institute for Child Nutrition. Resources specific to school food service during COVID times can be found on the website, theicn.org/prevent. Training materials from the ICN include brief videos demonstrating safe hygiene and appropriate cleaning practices, e-learning courses for food safety, food allergen awareness, enhanced cleaning and sanitizing, and best practices, a recorded COVID-19 webinar series available on demand to watch at your convenience, a new podcast for child nutrition programs called The Mix-Up, guidance for HACCP procedures and documentation for school nutrition programs, and links to the Center for Food Safety in Child Nutrition and guidance from the CDC for schools. Training and materials from the ICN can be used to meet the USDA professional standards training requirements for school nutrition professionals at all levels. All of these materials and more are available for free at the icn.org/prevent. Before we wrap up, just a few reminders about food safety and your local jurisdiction. As always, any significant changes to food service operations should be accounted for in your HACCP plan. Follow the guidance of your local jurisdiction to determine if any updates to your HACCP plan are required. Also keep in mind that routine tasks like renewing the food service license or permit for your school kitchen may take longer this year than in the past. Build in some extra time for license or permit renewals, especially those done by mail or which require an in-person visit. Remember that 2 food safety facility inspections by your local health department per year are still a requirement of the National School Lunch Program, even if meals are packaged and distributed only for remote learners. Consider contacting your local health department by email or phone to let them know that you are open and operational for school meals, particularly if your program is planning for modified or limited days of operation. Finally, your local health department may have additional requirements or guidance for public health and safety that are more narrow than state-level requirements for COVID-19. Be proactive to ensure you know how to access updates from your local jurisdiction. All 24 jurisdictions in Maryland have a local health department. Here's a snippet of the local health department contact info as it's posted on the Maryland Department of Health website. You can also Google your local health department to find their website and additional information for your area. A phone number and sometimes an email address for the Food Safety and Inspection Service from your local health department can also be found on your most recent health inspection report. This concludes Food Safety and Nutrition Operations COVID-19 updates for Maryland's nonprofit private schools and residential child care institutions, which participate in school nutrition programs. We encourage you to incorporate this information into training with your agency staff and to share it with any contracted food service vendors who provide meals for child nutrition programs at your agency. If you have any questions about information presented in this training, please contact your program administration specialist at the Maryland State Department of Education, Office of School and Community Nutrition Programs. USDA and MSDE are equal opportunity providers. Thank you.